What is the market missing right now?
A metal most people never think about.
What kind of metal?
Antimony, symbol SB.
Where is it used?
Fire protection, electronics, defense applications, industrial supply chains.
Why does that matter now?
Because critical supply chains are changing.
Does the West have enough of it?
That is where the story gets important. Secure Western antimony supply is limited.
So what happens when supply gets tight?
New high-grade material found in North America starts to matter.
Has anyone found it here?
Critical One Energy just reported massive stibnite in modern drill core at Howells Lake.
What did they find?
4 meters of massive sulfide stibnite.
Is that unusual?
Pure stibnite has a chemical ceiling, 71.7% antimony.
And this core?
This core approached that ceiling.
So this is not just another drill result?
No, it could be a starting point.
Starting point for what?
From Canadian rock, to North American supply chains, to military and industrial end uses.
Then what is the real story?
A hidden metal, a fragile supply chain, a Canadian critical minerals story.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us today for this special Critical One Energy Investor webinar. My name is Dwayne Parham, founder, executive chairman, and CEO of Critical One Energy. Our common shares primarily trade on the CSE here in Canada under symbol CRTL, and is also dual listed on the OTCQB in the US and in Germany exchanges. I'm joined by Matt Trankler, head geologist, and Chet Izichek, discoverer of Howells Lake and director of Critical One. The discovery of 42.2 antimony over 8 meters, including a 70% antimony over 4 meters at 100% Howells Lake, represents one of the most significant critical minerals events in North America in 2026. This grade, representative of massive stibnite, would place Critical One at the center of the Western struggle for antimony independence. By benchmarking a company against its peers, it is clear that CRTL is currently undervalued relative to exploration potential and the strategic importance of this asset. A discovery of this magnitude is projected to drive a rapid and substantial re-rating of the company's market capitalization, which I believe potentially could be in the range of billions as it transitions from a speculative explorer into a high convicted development play. Our current share price trading roughly around $1.30 suggests potential multi-bagger for returns for our investors, and project's high core and district scale extensions are delineated. Supported by a veteran management team, a clean capital structure, and a collaborative relationship with our Indigenous partners, Critical One Energy is uniquely positioned to deliver both shareholder value and a critical component to North American national security. In the perfect storm, the current antimony market, a discovery hole at Howells is not just a geological result, it's a catalyst for a major shift in the Western critical minerals landscape. With antimony prices at multi-decade highs and North America facing acute supply chain vulnerabilities, lack of scalable feedstock reserves globally, Howells stands out and soon proven to be one of Canada's largest and highest grade undeveloped antimony gold systems, covering approximately 25,000 hectares across 30-kilometer strike length within a proven geological greenstone belt. The outer ring, I call it, is strategically located within Canada's road and power infrastructure development corridor. I'm thrilled to open today's webinar by announcing pure native antimony discovery over mining widths in hole 6 of our maiden drill program. Our press release was announced on March 15th, and please read, and we'll be talking more about this significant discovery. To walk you through the details of the geological rationale, high priority targets, and technical objectives of this inaugural geo program, I'm delighted to hand the presentation over to Matt Trankler, our chief geologist. Matt, you have the floor.
Thank you, Dwayne, and thank you everyone for being here on the webinar today. Just want to walk through some of these exciting results with you today with our hole 6 interception of our maiden drill program at Howells Lake. Hole 6 intersected, as Dwayne mentioned, very high-grade antimony in the form of massive stibnite. The highest intercept within that interval was 4 meters at 70.2% antimony. This interval is comprised of almost entirely pure stibnite, as is evident from over 70% assays shown in the table here. The core on the right visualizes what this massive stibnite looks and its nearly homogeneous nature in the drill core. Outside of this, we still have significant stibnite present in quartz veining, which in total comprises an 8-meter interval listed here that grades 42.2% antimony. Looking at the core, we can visually see, as I previously mentioned, the homogeneous massive stibnite that occurs from 81 meters to 85 meters. And outside of that, we have patches of massive stibnite and quartz-hosted semi-massive stibnite, making up the greater interval, which is hosted within a sericite and fuchsite-altered porphyry. Further down the hole, we also intersected 1.62% antimony over 7.3 meters. And this mineralization here is similarly but smaller patches of massive stibnite, which you can see in dark gray on the core, and massive stibnite and quartz-hosted disseminated stibnite. So this interval downhole from approximately 114 meters to 122 meters suggests that this zone of massive stibnite could be wider and extend deeper at the Howells Lake deposit, and gives us an exploration target to follow up on this with further drilling. So taking a look at where hole 6 occurs at the Howells Lake property, we can see in white on this map the historic drill holes drilled in the late 1970s, which first discovered antimony and gold mineralization at Howells. The hole 6 is stepped back a little to the north of any historic drilling, and it drilled roughly 165 degrees azimuth. And we can see that we have also since followed it up with some additional drilling in this area, trying to chase and extend this high-grade antimony mineralization. So in red, you can see the trace of drill hole 6, and orange is drilling we have also done. So we've completed about 8 holes. Sorry, we have completed 8 holes of drilling here with high-grade intercept, and the assays are pending on 7 out of the 8 holes. So we're looking forward to getting those back. So far, all of the holes drilled here haven't encountered visual stibnite mineralization. So we will release those results as we get them. So that's just talking about the results so far. So I'll throw it back to Dwayne to talk about what these significant antimony assays mean.
So what's really getting us excited, obviously, is a high-grade pure antimony, found in drill core, kind of gives us an idea of the potential for direct ship ore, DSO as they call it. And the reason we're excited about that is, the milling and refining capacity is a lot easier, a lot cheaper, and can get us to a military grade end product pretty quickly. So I think the challenge on all of us with this antimony exploration play that's going on is a race to who has the best product to get to market the quickest. So obviously, when you intercept a product like this, the chances of us, leading that race is a lot greater. So that's kind of getting us excited with this new discovery. Next. And then we look at how this interval stacks up against other kind of reputable antimony projects and plays on the globe. And it certainly comes out by far, when you look at the percentage stibnite by width, it comes out as one of the top, if not the top, exciting intercept to date. So again, we're kind of leading that pack, and it's kind of redefining Howells Lake as the potential that we always thought it had. Of course, Chet's with us, and he's the original discoverer of this, and And here we are, 40 years or so later, revisiting stuff that he already knew. So we're not surprising him, but we're certainly surprising ourselves, the new guys to the team, and it's pretty exciting so far. And we have about $1.5 million of our $9 million budget. So there's a lot more drilling, a lot more work that we're going to be pursuing. Current share structure, large insider ownership. Most of the founders and management and vendors make up a big chunk of the insiders, I call it. So there's a big percentage of shareholders there. There's some institutionals from the flow through that we raised, and also pretty big German ownership now that we've been over marketing in the German investor pool consistently now for a number of months. So I think we're still relatively um, low at a 78, 80 million market cap, 62 million shares outstanding, and we're probably just about 10 million in the treasury now. So it's very, very interesting cap structure and high insider ownership. And we're at the last slide, which takes us to the end of our presentation. Please visit our website. There's a more expanded investor deck available there, and a lot of the other information, corporate information that one can look at. And I open the floor to questions. You want to take questions?
Yeah, I'll start taking some questions. I have an initial question referring to this as a discovery hole, and what's the approximate time frame for future results? So we have assays pending from the lab right now on future or on follow-up drill holes to this. So as I mentioned, we have 8 holes that have intersected visual stibnite. So those are pending. Some of them are still processing, but some are with the lab right now. So we should expect results in the coming weeks for sure, with additional intercepts of this antimony mineralization. We have a question on potential for DSO, North American military buyers. Dwayne, I don't know if you wanted to answer that one.
Sure. So, I mean, look, we're all starting from scratch, more or less, with this critical mineral projects that we're presenting. We're not the only one. There's a few others. And unfortunately, yes, it takes time to put these projects into play, 2, 3, 4 years. So we're currently reviewing all options for processing material, and certainly with the discovery of direct ship material, that does open up another option that many others don't have. So we've brought in 4-star general retired Charles Flynn, who's helping us with opening up access to the Pentagon and some of the U.S. End users and offtakes. So yes, we're definitely gearing us towards exploring different options for shipping to the U.S. or abroad. So it does open up a lot of options, and we're going to explore all those options.
So we have a few questions about the antimony intercepted in these holes with stibnite. So having near 100% stibnite, which is around 70 weight percent antimony. What's the dollar value of 100% antimony per ton? It's sitting around 35,000 US dollars per metric ton right now. And with massive stibnite intercepted, that has a density of around 4,600 tons per meter cubed. So it just gives you an idea of the economics of finding 100% near homogeneous stibnite in these samples. Yes, this is so there's a question on any other metals that have been found associated with this high-grade antimony. No, we have not seen within the almost nearly homogeneous stibnite. We've seen very little of other metals. Certainly no deleterious metals or minerals, which is really positive for us right now. Historically, there have been other metals associated with this area, but in this very high grade that we're seeing of pure stibnite, there's almost no other metals associated with it. It's almost entirely antimony sulfide. Have the holes you have drilled better defined the next holes? Certainly. So we are working on a lot of historic information, which informed these holes that we're drilling right now. With every intercept we get, it'll give us an idea of gradation within the deposit, where the high grade is, and what orientation it's sitting at. So the more drilling we do, the better idea we'll have of the ore body, and we'll be able to follow up on not only this high grade zone, but some untested extensions of this mineralization. So another question on impurities that may cause refinement issues. Just as I previously mentioned, there's really no deleterious minerals or metals found to date. So we don't see any issues with that right now. Certainly not with this very high grade.
I think I can take the one about China.
Sure.
So we just had a roundtable discussion in Washington last week or so. And I think the US view is that the disrupted supply chain geopolitical move, the geoeconomic move from China imposing on the US has really opened Congress's eyes. And I think now that there is a strong movement within the United States of America to repair their supply chains and looking for alternative sources for these minerals, not just antimony, but others. So I really think the shock and awe that was created has caused a better outlook for us junior companies that are looking for these metals and finding them. So I believe that there will be strategic relationships, there'll be offtake arrangements, and the fact that U.S. government have pools of capital now, not only in Pentagon, DSO, and the Department of War and such, that are taking stakes, not only offtake arrangements, but also equity in companies. So, we're a little bit early to say, yeah, we're going to go grab an offtake from the U.S. government, but I can show you a path towards where this could be very interesting. And I also believe that these government funding groups and institution groups have to come down a little further into the risk profile like we're doing. Otherwise, there probably won't get opportunities like this again. So, we haven't explored for a long time. These projects are rare. You're not just going to turn on an antimony switch tomorrow and replace the supply chain from China. So I really think, these institutions and governments are going to get more involved in these earlier discoveries like ours. So, that's an opportunity for us, and I think it's a real one that we will pursue. As far as trucking, yes, it's a very high. I mean, internally we're talking a lot about how can we move this project quicker than most? How can we get bulk samples done and get the metallurgical testing and such? And I agree with the question: is this DSO material high value truckable material? Yeah. When we drill it, get a sense of dimension, and then maybe we're at 80 some odd meters down core. Maybe we can trace it to surface and just find other ways of doing some bulk sampling to it. That's probably the next step that will be coming this summer. So I believe, yes, we got a high value direct ship or opportunity here for the company. Is there antimony elsewhere in the property, Matt? And Chet, maybe that's Chet because he's got a lot of historical information about the property.
Yeah, we have two questions here. Maybe we'll get Chet involved with because he is the wealth of knowledge here. Is there antimony elsewhere on the property? And also, is the current drilling lining up with the historic high-grade antimony?
Well, it's interesting questions. There's two things going on here. First, with regards to antimony, antimony is a low temperature and pressure mineral. And historically, what happens at depth, these deposits turn into gold deposits. A good example of this is the Kevin Motor Mine, which is Archean age in Zimbabwe. It started off as an antimony deposit. Very quickly turned into gold deposit. Produced almost 5 million ounces at 12.5 grams gold. In the initial discovery area, which is in the west zone, Winky drill hole. We had small portable drilling rigs with us, so we have this airborne anomaly that we flew a few months prior, showed us a big structure, and on that structure there's a geophysical anomaly. We went on the ground, we did VLF on the ground, we drilled it right away, 200-foot holes, and hole number 2 intersected 5 grams gold and 1.6% antimony over 6.5 meters. And then we went over to the east zone, which is about 500 feet over to the east. And the best hole there was 5.37% antimony over 27 feet, which is about 8.4 meters. And within it, there's 71% stibnite over about 0.4 meters in there. So that's the best stibnite high grades, like this material that we're talking about right now. So the fact within a couple of 100 feet, we found hole number 6, which is the big interval, shows a couple of things. Number one, we are into low temperature minerals on surface with antimony, and this is not disseminated antimony. This is massive antimony and high grade antimony. And what we expect at depth when we're drilling this thing is going to turn into a superior gold deposit.
Yep, the gold story is still to be told here. We have drilling planned on the west zone, as Chet mentioned, that has historically both antimony and gold mineralization, but lots of potential for high grade antimony and still yet to be determined gold on this property for sure.
In addition to that, there's some zinc and copper too mineralization. So this is sort of a gradational thing where you start with antimony on top. We're very, very lucky, probably having the highest antimony on surface anywhere on the planet right now. So we have high expectations for further drilling for antimony at depth. On surface, we trace antimony over 800 meters. And when we were there in 1979, 1980. And we expect this thing to continue at depth to the northeast, and it's going to be a large deposit, no question.
I like it again.
Yeah.
And I guess the last question, are there any other targets? And yes, we've developed what we're calling a west-west target. So from the historics, we have the high-grade antimony east zone. We have the mixture of antimony gold in the west zone. And then there's a target that kind of popped up from the Ontario Geochem survey. It's probably the highest in Ontario. It's a geochem in a pond. And then when we ran our VTEM survey and analyzed by the professionals that came up with the interpretation, we found another really interesting target that coincides with this geochem. Never been drilled, never really looked at. So I think that's something we'll probably get at later in the spring, summer, sometime, get a drill over there and test that. But I think, again, from following up with Chet saying, is we basically got an antimony camp, and we're going to probably have a lot of discoveries over this 30-kilometer strike length. And in this particular area we're working, I think a lot of things are pointing west. So I could see us kind of moving in that direction with the drill and testing a lot of, east-west zone, and then this new untested area, west-west zone.
So in addition to that, the target that we've been drilling is within a structure that's over 2 kilometers, big fault structure that smashes through the geology, and is open to the northeast. To the south of it, we have a target called Isaac target. We intersect antimony there. We haven't followed up on that. And another 1 kilometers below that, there's another one called Z2. So we have a plethora of targets in here to test. So this is a camp that is opening up.
Yeah, between the lake sediment geochem anomalies that Dwayne mentioned, some geophysical targets to the west, and some high-grade boulders historically found to the northeast. As Chet mentioned, the superficial exposure of high-grade antimony seems very promising here, and there's plenty of targets to follow up on. This first phase, we're excited that we followed up on the East Zone, which historically has good antimony intercepts. We're happy to be finding this really wide and high grade intercept here, and there's plenty of room to branch out from here.
Just one more point. The reason why New Jersey Zinc, the major discovery, left the area is that it was acquired by Gulf and Western Industries, Charlie Blumenhorn, that stayed with us for about a year or so. Then he got tired of the metals business. These guys are producing zinc, since the Civil War in the United States. Anyway, they came in, took control of the company, took $50 million out of the treasury, bought Paramount Pictures, and basically shut the company down. And that's why we didn't do any further work. So I went over and started and continued working with Goldfields, and then over to Escape Creek, Florida, and other places of interest. It's never been drilled since. Just sitting there sleepily waiting for us.
Glad to have you back. Glad to have you back. There's something here about the eastern property. I think, Chet, you probably could speak because I think you did some exploration up on the east side for gold, and there is some high hits in there, and there's probably a huge amount of potential. Chet, maybe you can comment on that.
Oh, there's quite a few little targets that we're chasing. We've been in there for a few years, basically looking for massive sulfide deposits, and then for gold. And we did a lot of drilling. For example, we did 66 contract drill holes, 41 winky holes on a property, so we know quite a bit about it. But all the gold areas in there tend to be discontinuous, even though there's some good numbers, and so it really hasn't worked out. But you never know. The next drill hole could find something. There is a target to the east of interest, and we're looking at
it. There was one question here about refineries. We've had numerous inward comments from refineries globally, and I can just sum it up by saying extremely excited. And just looking at pictures, there's been some recovery comments that have all been positive. So we'll explore all of those comments internally and see if there's something. But definitely, when you see native antimony, I don't think there'll be a refiner on the globe that will have anything negative to say. What else are you seeing? Anything, Matt? I agree with the anti Scots. We are undervalued, so that's why I made that opening comment, I believe. But it's a process, and I think it's a process of confidence. And this is what this drill program was all about, is verifying the historical. We got lucky. We latched on to something really exceptional early on. And I think it goes to the value of the project itself. And what Chet was saying earlier is that when you have a quality project, there's a lot more surprises that are probably going to come out of this. So I'm extremely excited about where we are at this stage. And I think we can look forward to more surprises coming. So I think that's where value will come in for those shareholders that see a longer term vision and not just a flip. So, we are building a company. You can see how, we've only acquired this property, 16, 17 months ago. We've raised significant capital to do this first phase drilling, and we're $1.5 million into a $9 million drill program. So, we got lots of run room here. I think Matt and team are going to deliver some exceptional news. So I would hang in and let us show you the true value of this project. We don't have any analyst cover. I think that's the next phase of what I'm working on, not only with the General Flynn retired, with our offtake arrangements, but definitely now with something solid like this news, we can approach the institutions and start getting some further support. As far as infrastructure, well, I mean, there was a map. I don't know if we have it in this presentation. I coined sort of our area the outer ring of fire, and there's good reason for that. It's because the corridor coming out of Martin Falls and out of Pickle Lake, with a number of the logging roads and the new road infrastructure that's coming into the Fort Hope First Nations, is all pointing to a new economic development zone, and that's why I called it the Outer Ring of Fire. All of this infrastructure that's now been approved by the Ontario government is bypassing our project. And we're already choosing access roads, and we have very strong support from our First Nation partners. And the development is coming. They understand that. They are a remote uh, a reserve as it sits right now, but they're definitely pro development, but very strategic pro development. So those discussions have been going extremely well, extremely supportive, and the infrastructure plan for the area is definitely all part of the Ring of Fire. So I can see only more positive infrastructure support going forward for this project as we drill it out and improve its economics. Can't speak about other antimony explorers. Really, it's not fair. I mean, we're all working hard to prove up our projects, and I think a discovery like this obviously puts us kind of at the head of the pack. But we're all trying to fulfill a big need, and that is, you know, provide material, not just antimony, but other material to fulfill this disrupted supply chain we have in North America. So I think we're early innings if we want to look at the macro picture. Never in my career, Chet, you may have seen it in yours or such, but I've never seen a supportive setup economically where governments are buying equities in mining companies. I've never seen that before. So I just think the underlying fundamentals and a depressed market that we've seen for so long, we're starting now to see energy and mining kind of come out of the slump. So I believe we're still early innings in this, and I believe this sector is very investable right now. Assays are going to come, Matt, as they can, quick as we can. Obviously, we prioritize this visual discovery. There's others in there that now have become priority, but Matt, you're gonna have to sort all that out and deliver the news as we get it. We are a remote site, so logistically it does take a little bit more time, and we're obviously making adjustments to our program to account for that now that we're gaining more confidence in what we're seeing in the field. So obviously we're going to be building out more infrastructure to help move this project quicker through the process. So a little bit of it was a quick start, and then we did what we had to do to get these drill holes, and we're starting to see those results quickly. So as we expand the work program on the field, I think we'll start seeing things move a lot more smoother and quicker. I know it's always a challenge.
Yep, we're just hitting our stride. So, yeah, assays are pending, and they should be coming out very shortly. We have lots with the lab right now. So,
If you can do what we did, there's a comment from a shareholder, and thank you very much for your support. They're wondering if I can do the same as I did with Forces. I think, honestly, we've got a better opportunity today to exceed what we did at Forces. So, um, I'm excited about this project. We still have a few copper and uranium projects in the company in Namibia. We're dealing with those, so we can focus on antimony right now. But the shareholders will get some value from those projects. But I just think we've got unlimited right now opportunity for building value at this company right now. So stay tuned. Someone's being cute with you, Matt.
yep, asking if we have massive stibnite visually in the other holes drilled. I won't comment on that just because we haven't released the results yet. But it is positive that we are seeing stibnite in these other holes, and we'll be releasing those results as we get them, and we're excited to release those.
So we've got a lot of not only questions but a lot of investor feedback, and thank you for your support. I think we can end it here, and there's some really good comments that have been passed on from those listening to the webinar, and I just thank everyone for their time, for your patience, and for your investment in our company. I think you can see we've done a lot in a very short period of time, and I just believe the momentum is with us, and I think we have a lot more good news to deliver. So, with that, I leave the webinar to come to a close, and looking forward to more good news from our geological team. Thanks, guys.